Hi, Terry Roche here, host of Talk Radio's Inside Real Estate with your homebuyer insider secret number 8. How to pick the hottest neighborhoods so you can make many more thousands of dollars on your home value appreciation in the future, and also spot temporary anomalies in the market to save an additional $20,000 to $25,000. As I've stated before, you only get one chance at this. You can't return the house to the seller after you purchased it, so it's a done deal. It's critical that you understand all the techniques and strategies and execute them well before you've actually written a contract to buy a home. So that's why it's imperative to get this right and get it done right the first time. Now, in this video, I have a few more tools I want to tell you about. One is a tool that realtors love to use when pricing homes. It's called a CMA, or a competitive market analysis. And what realtors usually do is to look at other homes in the neighborhood that have recently sold and or similar to the home that they're analyzing, and they'll compare the size, the price, the amount, the days on the market, the different features, etc. They'll put some pluses and minuses in different columns for different features, like this one has a bigger yard or a smaller yard, or maybe compare one with a finished basement to another one with an unfinished basement, make adjustments, deck versus no deck, etc. Now, that helps us compare what buyers have actually recently paid to what our subject property should sell for. But that's what I call a fine-tuning tool only. It's not a good overall tool, and unfortunately, the industry uses it that way. As a matter of fact, it's actually dangerous to use just the one tool. Unfortunately, it's the only tool that most realtors are taught to use. It's like trying to perform any analysis or any mechanical job that requires 2 or 3 different tools for accuracy, but only using one tool. It can be very frustrating and inaccurate. And unfortunately, that's what happens a lot. So there's another tool that isn't used as often but needs to be. That's called a TMO analysis, which is a total market overview analysis. We talked about this briefly in a previous point where we talked about the broad real estate market. But in this case, you really need to use both the TMO tool and the CMA tool together. So if the broad real estate market's about to change over the next 3 months, and due to the list to sale ratios changing, as we talked about before, we need to know about that. But we can't go and look at a house and say, well, other homes in the last 6 months sold for X price, therefore the home that we're going to buy should also sell for X price. That's not accurate at this point in time. So perhaps the home you're going to buy should sell for Y price, because there are great undercurrents that are changing the market as we speak, and these will always affect the value of the home. Well, that's where the TMO tool should be used, and reveal that along with the CMA tool. All right, so value analysis and area analysis. Now, there are 3 words that you need to understand when it comes to real estate analysis: value analysis and area analysis, and it's not what you're thinking. And you've probably heard it before. You know, location, 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 the 3 most important rules in real estate. Wrong. It's partly true, but wrong. The higher, overarching 3 words that are so much more influential than location, location, location are the 3 words: jobs, jobs, jobs. And the reason is simple when you think about it. People aren't going to be attractive or motivated to move to an area if there's no employment opportunities. And folks will move away from an area in search of employment if there is a shrinking employment base where they're currently living. So it doesn't really matter if you have the greatest location in the entire state. If there's no jobs, or if you actually have an economy suffering or shrinking, people are going to move away. There will not be a demand for that house, and that's all that really matters. So those 3 words, jobs, 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 can even affect real estate values differently in towns that are only 10 miles apart. It's important to understand an area's entire economic base, which are all the different engines that run a local or a regional economy. If you have a large state government presence or a large federal government presence, that's always great. As a matter of fact, that's the best. Followed by a large corporate or military presence, then followed by small businesses. All of these things help. But if you're in an area that is dominated by a single-based economic engine, it's not a safe area for reliable, stable housing values. When there's one group of corporations or one industry represented in that area that provides most of the jobs for the economic stimulus, that's not very good. It's like a one-legged stool. If you have 3 or 4 different industries represented, like the government, large corporations, military, and other large universities present, well, there will be much more diversity. There will also be much more economic ability to take advantage of, which will make it much more dynamic and, more importantly, much more stable. Economic and social diversity make the real estate market ultimately much more stable, which makes home values much more bulletproof. So keep that in mind when you're looking in different areas. The next important factors are neighborhoods and subdivisions. As we're drilling down from the larger view, it's the amenities, the school scores, the shopping, and access to major roads and highways that provide good, quick access to employment centers. Some people may say, well, schools don't really matter. I don't have kids. Well, guess what? They're going to matter, because they're going to matter to the person who buys the house from you. So they do matter to you if you want a good resale value. Access to major employment centers is vital. It will also matter to you in the future, because as different areas increase in population density, especially around here, it gets more and more important for people to be closer and closer and closer to work. Using the TMO and the CMA to actually find market anomalies, you could save $10, $30, in some cases $50,000 on a home price. Determining the value of a particular property is where you start getting into the TMO analysis and the CMA analysis tool, which is something you must use. Your buyer's agent will be able to guide you here too. You need to take the big picture, then drill down onto the smaller pictures. The value of a home is going to be affected by many different things. Of course, it'll be affected by the amenities in and around it. It will also be affected by the neighborhood. It's going to be affected by the features as well. And it will be hugely impacted by the larger current job market, to be sure. Take advantage of market anomalies. How can you assess if your home is in one neighborhood is actually undervalued relative to another neighborhood? Market anomalies can happen a lot. And if you know what to look for, they're not that hard to find. There are many factors. We'll cover just a few here. Market anomalies can be caused by distressed sales or foreclosures in a neighborhood that are temporarily dragging down the values. Another factor would be a future development potential versus the actual future development approval. Some people think, oh, I want to buy a house in this area because there are so many new developments coming in the future. New shopping centers, new businesses, parks, new homes, lots of subdivisions. That they want to really build this area up, so I want to buy there. Well, some people are convinced that's the best thing, but in reality, that could be the worst thing for real estate values in that area. They can overbuild, and it's happened a lot before. If that happens, there's just too much extra inventory on the market, and then guess what happens? It creates a buyer's market in that one area, and, well, it means there's just too much for sale, too many builders competing for too few buyers, too many extra homes. Therefore, it literally drives values down. Not always a good thing, and that can last for years. Conversely, there's a current political issue that's gained a huge amount of popularity in the last 10 years in a lot of different jurisdictions around the country. It's called smart growth, or also known as down zoning. Smart growth says if you want to build homes or build a neighborhood, if you're a builder or developer in a particular area or town or jurisdiction, you can do it. But only in the areas that we as the jurisdictional authorities designate. So say the county supervisors, for example, or the jurisdictional authority for any particular town, city, jurisdiction says, the idea is to build the new growth in the way they consider to be smart. That means build where there's already existing infrastructure, already existing roads, existing utilities, existing access to schools, services, etc., as opposed to just going out and buying some farm somewhere and having to start everything from scratch. So smart growth keeps down congestion too, because everybody's residence, shopping, schools, recreation, amenities, jobs, etc., are all in one place. And there's not as much driving, commuting back and forth, clogging up the major arteries and roadways. And there's a lot of logic to smart growth. There's also a lot of angst. Many people want to develop their own land, but are prevented from doing so because of smart growth. So it's quite a political football in certain areas. But the bottom line is that smart growth inhibits or reduces the amount of available inventory, which can be built on or made available for sale. It's like an artificial suppression of inventory that just literally results in affecting prices in certain areas and in certain neighborhoods. If you're in an area where there are where they're not allowing a lot of extra building, then that will mean your real estate is an item that cannot be replaced easily. And if you have the same amount of buyers but fewer sellers, that's going to push the prices back up. So you're going to find these different types of market anomalies and different market forces that can create temporary opportunities in different neighborhoods, literally just a few miles apart. So once again, you need to be educated on these. This is one of the strategies that can put a huge amount of money in your pocket. You need to be educated on these different types of issues that can affect values temporarily up or down, so that you can take advantage of them, just like a savvy real estate investor would, or the insiders do all the time to find bargains. if you're buying a particular neighborhood where you just found out they've approved some future development. That could be good or bad depending on what they've approved. But if you find out they've actually downzoned areas, you would be buying below market in that area because the prices will be moving up due to limited inventory, even though other areas around it won't move up. Foreclosure anomalies. When you compare a neighborhood with a lot of recent foreclosures to one without many foreclosures, only 5 minutes away, the neighborhood that has a lot of foreclosures will have to temporarily sell for less until the extra foreclosures have been cleaned out of the inventory. Even though ultimately they're both equal in value in the long run. So it'd be an excellent opportunity to buy the house in the heavily foreclosed neighborhood, whether it's a foreclosure or not, just because the foreclosures have temporarily dragged down all the prices in that whole neighborhood. Then you'd wait and watch your neighborhood spring back to its normal market value when the foreclosures are gone. In the meantime, you'll have easily saved $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. You can find out more about these strategies and others that we're currently using right now in today's market from the insider strategies that I'm learning on my real estate radio show and that I've learned on my show. We show home buyers how to save literally tens of thousands on their home purchase and financing every day right here in Northern Virginia. Just check my free live online webinar at www.homebuyerinsidesecrets.com. That's homebuyerinsidesecrets.com. You can also get all of these insider techniques done for you and applied to your personal home purchase with our free Insider's Access Homebuyer Savings Program. And you get a minimum guaranteed savings of $25,000 or more. And the best part is we guarantee that you save at least $25,000 using my strategies. Plus, the service is no cost to you. Check it out at homebuyerinsidesecrets.com. Find out why even other realtors and other mortgage lenders actually use me as their personal buyer broker on their own home buying transactions instead of relying on themselves.